Perfect, perfect. Hey everyone, I'm going to get started. It's 7:05. I don't want to waste any time. We have some amazing speakers that are going to be speaking. So I want to make sure we are on point, on time, and for the most part, you get off at a good time too, because I know sleep is very rare nowadays, but we need to get more of it. However, I can always come back to this slide so we will all be able to see these questions so we can all keep a good connection. All right. So first, everyone, welcome to DNT Detroit New Tech. My name is Micah Sanders, and I want to give you a little bit of history on Detroit New Tech when it kind of started. And matter of fact, this music is super, super amazing, but I am going to dim it down just a little bit so you can hear me. All right, and then I'll turn it off officially when the speakers come on. Now, so Detroit New Tech was founded in 2010, and that is over 10 years of us being able to make connections, being able to find connections, help other people as well. We have over 2,400 members on our Meetup platform, and this is mainly for networking and resources within the Detroit and Southeast Michigan state community, because we recognize, you know, so many Ann Arbor, there's an Ann Arbor New Tech, there's, I believe, there is another New Tech somewhere further up in Michigan, but we're like, yo, there's a lot going on in Detroit. So let's create a safe space and create an amazing space for entrepreneurs, for businessmen and women to all come together so we can all network. We also, during this, we encourage and highlight entrepreneurial startups. So you will possibly be seeing some of them speaking, but there are some people who are seasoned who are going to be in here who have already been running their business for maybe 5 to 10 years and 10 to 15 years. And they actually would love to bring some insight over to our DNT community. So we love that here. The main thing is collaboration, everybody. Collaboration is, it provides these events and makes it more meaningful for everybody. So it's super amazing for that to happen, and that's why we did it. Now, again, just a little bit more about the person who's talking on the other side of the screen. Yeah, that's me. My name, again, is Micah Sanders, and there is a study that says that whenever you're speaking at a public event, or let's say just a virtual event like this one, your likability goes up around 22 to 25% if you show them an amazing picture of your family. So I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but there's my family. So hopefully my likability rate went up around 22%. If it did, you can put it in the chat. But that is me. That is my wife. We are about to celebrate our 3rd year anniversary at the beginning of next year. And a fun fact about us is that my wife was my first friend. I've known my wife since I was 3 years old. So she was actually my first kiss as well. We were playing house. You know, I was trying to go to work setting up my Legos. You know the drill. So, but we've been friends for so long. So that is my wife. Her name is Dayla. Our oldest son, Jaden, he is now 6. He's staring off into the distance because we're at the zoo, and he's wondering why this camel has 1 hump instead of 2 humps. So I had to explain to him, now all camels come with 2. And then our little one in his comfortable car seat. His name is Malachi, and he is 1, actually going to be 2 next year in July. So he's growing up super fast and running around, running up and down the stairs. No one showed him how to go up and down the stairs, so he's just a quick learner and just all over the place. But that's a little bit about my family. Where I work is at Accelerate Kid. I'm the marketing associate and PR there. So that means I do things like website updates, social media, content management, company branding, all of that fun stuff. But just a little bit more about me is my hobbies are, I love to play pool, something I haven't been able to do since the pandemic, but I tried to go back in. I love billiards. I don't know why, I just love doing it. Photo and video editing, which of course is why I'm marketing. And I love going in nature. And why I do what I do is I love to increase and grow attention and awareness to specific things I believe people should know about. So that's just a little bit about me. I think it's always good that you know who's speaking and facilitating whatever you're going to. So that's a little bit about me. Hopefully you found out something new. This is our setup. Right now we're right at 7:10. I'm about to end. Our first speaker is going to be Stephen J. Contis. He is the founder of, and I know he's going to correct me on this, but the company that he actually founded is merging with Veln, and I can't wait for him to explain a little bit more about that. We're going to have a Q&A session for every single person who's here. The next person is Kaku Oze. If I said that wrong, which I probably did, it's okay. I've said a lot of names wrong, and I can admit it. I know you will correct me when your time is to come. He's the CEO of Farmacy Food. I'm very curious about that. And then our last speaker, Armando Ortega, founder of ToDoolie. There was a fourth speaker on the list. She is the CEO and founder of BTO Solutions. However, she couldn't make it today, so she is going to try and make it to our next Detroit New Tech. Now, before we get started with Stephen speaking, I do want to thank all of our sponsors, the company that I work with and am actually contracted also to, which is a for-profit and nonprofit, Accelerate Kid and Accelerate for Kids. And then Veln, we are super excited for their sponsorship, and Collider. We are super thank you for the sponsorship. And Stephen Contis, you're here now. So again, thank you specifically. And let's get straight to it. Stephen, founder of PatentXp LLC, now merged with Veln. I gave a little bit information about Veln. Veln is mainly focused on the efficient delivery of high quality legal services, rooted in a cultivated knowledge in our practice areas and fueled by the process and technology. So I'm super curious to hear more about it. Hey, I'm stopping to speak at 7:12. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Like every speaker will have 10 minutes, and you'll probably get a nice little chat from me when you're coming up on those 10 minutes. And I will let you speak, Stephen. Hey, Stephen, and for all the other speakers as well, you have the option to share the screen yourself so you can have more control. Or if you need me to, I have your presentation as well, and you can just tell me when to go. So Stephen, what would you like to do?
I can share over here.
Perfect. I'm going to give you sharing ability. Give me just a second. I'm going to stop sharing. And boom, Stephen, it's 7:13. So I'll give you until 7:23.
All right, hold on one second. Let me, where is it? There it is, Keynote. So tell me, so Zoom and Apple don't play nicely together. Which screen do you guys see? Do you see my slides or do you see the presenter slides?
So
Oops.
We don't even see your screen yet.
Nothing yet. Okay, hold on. Click, share, it's failed to start. Please try again. We're gonna do it this way. All right, now what do you see? All right, awesome. So, well, thank you for that introduction. Again, I'm Steve Contos. I was the founder of PatentXp, which was an intellectual property law firm. Now I am the head of intellectual property for a firm called Veln. And I will spend some time talking a little bit about the merger. I think, a lot of the entrepreneurs that Detroit New Tech attracts are probably interested in mergers, acquisitions, and how all that goes. It applies to law firms too. And then I'll also talk a little bit about our firm and how we're doing things, because we're not like a typical law firm. We do things quite a bit differently, and hopefully I can share all that with you today. Micah, please feel free to jump in when my time's up. I'm not necessarily watching the timer, but don't feel bad interrupting. So really quickly before I get started, this is not legal advice. I don't guarantee any results. I may say something that sounds like it might apply to a particular legal situation that you have. I highly recommend that you not listen to me, that you consult with a lawyer competent in your jurisdiction and with your subject matter. Okay. So about Veln. Veln is a law firm that focuses on two things. We do commercial agreements and intellectual property. We're actually two separate business units. Like I said earlier, I lead the intellectual property group, and then the firm's founder, Veln's founder, leads the commercial agreement group. So Micah and I copy and paste from the same area. So this is what he just showed you. We're focused on the efficient delivery of high quality legal services rooted in cultivated knowledge in our practice areas and fueled by processes and technology. So what this is saying is that Will and I, again, Will's the CEO and founder of Veln, we both have very deep experience in our respective practice areas, me with intellectual property, Will with commercial agreements. And what we found is that there's a lot of like workflows and technology out there that helps both of our practices. And we can use that to efficiently deliver legal services in a way that it's a lot harder for, more traditional law firms to follow. So one of our other statements here, we strive to provide an excellent client experience, whether working directly with your business people or supporting in-house attorneys who are hard-pressed to meet the demands placed upon them. This is just a really nice way of saying people don't like working with lawyers. They don't like hiring lawyers. When they have to reach out to a lawyer, they're probably under a significant amount of stress. And we appreciate that. And that's why we've designed the firm to just make it easy to work with us. Make it easy to get the, whatever goal you're trying to achieve, doing it at a good price point, doing it quickly, efficiently, not wasting a lot of time. So here, Veln's single goal is to drive down the cost of legal services while maintaining the highest standards. The reason why I mentioned this and the reason why this is part of our message is because when you are an efficient, inexpensive law firm, people think, well, maybe they're cutting corners. They must be doing something to like drive down the price or get the work out faster. And I think that's believable if you look at how a traditional law firm operates. But if you look at how we operate, again, it's efficient workflows, very low overhead, plus a wealth of experience that Will and I both have, plus others on our team have. We're able to actually provide high quality legal services relatively inexpensively. So here's where we talk about kind of how we can do it. So one is, we focus on commercial agreements and intellectual property. We don't take projects that are outside the scope of those two areas. So that helps us, really focus on and develop expertise and specialties in those two areas and a lot of efficiencies in those areas. Eliminating unnecessary costs that don't add value. I have office space. I'm the only one in the firm with office space. Everybody else is remote. We don't have large conference rooms with granite counter tables. There's no 80-inch flat screen TV. There aren't these huge partner offices with private bathrooms in them. Like we're a very low overhead kind of model. Paying attorneys handsomely to attract top talent. Obviously, we recognize that to do a good work, you need good people. And so we do pay pretty competitive rates for IP and commercial agreement work. Using technologies, processes, knowledge bases, and training to drive efficiencies. This is kind of what I've already been talking about. Once you know the subject matter well enough, you can kind of figure out what works and what doesn't in order to give the client, the best result that you can get under the circumstances as quickly and inexpensively as possible. Finally, supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's very important to both Will and I. We do have a lot of efforts to make sure that underrepresented individuals are kind of put at the forefront of our firm. It can be a bit of a challenge because traditionally minorities, women, people from the LGBT community they either don't go to law school, or in my case, they don't go to engineering school and then law school. So it can be hard to find talented individuals who have diverse backgrounds, but we're doing our best. Okay, so here's the thing everyone cares about. One of the most surprising things that Veln has done, and I was shocked when Will first told me this when he and I met months ago before the merger, obviously, Veln's single rate is $250 per hour. And if you can find an IP lawyer with my level of experience or a commercial agreement lawyer with Will's level of experience that only charges $250 per hour, I'd be shocked. This really was something kind of groundbreaking that we're doing, and clients love it. Like, they appreciate the low overhead, they appreciate our experience, and they appreciate this price point. Here's a little bit about Will and I. I'm not going to read both of these. These are summarized from our website, velnlegal.com. You can go there, click talent, and you'll find bios of Will and me. Again, Will is the CEO. He's the founder of Veln, and he leads the commercial agreement business unit. And then I lead the IP business unit. All right, so let me talk about the merger. I know it's already been like 6 minutes or so. So I founded PatentXp as an intellectual property law firm in 2018. And I'd kind of gotten to this weird, like I was like in this weird like chicken and egg problem where I needed to grow to pursue certain opportunities, but I couldn't get any commitment from like potential clients until I grew, but then I didn't feel super comfortable hiring more people until I had those kind of commitments, you know? And so, you know, one option is to just take the risk and do it and hope that those companies follow through, which, you know, I don't think they would necessarily be doing anything devious. I think it's just, you know, but things happen, people move around, the company priorities change or whatever. So anyway, Will and I had actually met, we're part of a national group. We're the only 2 law firms in Michigan that are part of this group. So I reached out to him back in April, not to propose a merger or anything, just to meet him because he was the other Michigan lawyer in this group. You know, we realized we had a lot in common. So anyway, fast forward to August, when we had this chicken and egg problem, another solution was, well, I should find a bigger platform to operate under that lets me go after some of these opportunities without the risk of, you know, hiring all these people and having them fall through. So that's the very quick version of how it happened. When Will and I met back in April, you know, we met a couple times from April up until we finally merged last month, roughly 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. You know, we learned quickly that we both have a shared philosophy of what a law firm should be. You know, we both kind of embrace that, you know, counterculture, let's do things, like, let's challenge the status quo. Like, let's just not do things because that's how every other law firm does them. We have shared ethics, and then we also have a shared commitment to service. We do have quite a bit of overlap in our industry experience, which is kind of nice. You know, a lot of these industries require pretty deep knowledge. If you're going to provide commercial agreement or IP services to companies in these industries, it's really helpful to understand the industry and how it works. So these are just a couple of the industries that that we do a lot of work with. Obviously, you know, automotive being in Metro Detroit, you know, telecom, medical. So yeah, it's been pretty helpful for us to, you know, refer, you know, now they're all firm clients, but, you know, to refer matters to each other within the firm and being able to provide those resources, you know, to our clients. I'm going to breeze through some of these since I think I'm running short on time. So Will's team does a ton of different contracts. This is just some of them. I want to say they do something like 500 different types of contracts. It's crazy what they do. And again, they rely a lot on technology, proprietary processes, these things called playbooks, where they really understand like the client's comfort level, like what they're willing to, you know, give and take on in certain agreements. And it just makes it easy to kind of negotiate contracts on their behalf without all this back and forth. Real quickly on the IP side, our core business, our patents and trademarks. We pretty much do everything patent and trademark related, at least with respect to helping people secure their rights. We don't do any enforcement. We'll do some contested matters, but no enforcement. It's kind of the same thing. You know, our efficiencies are driven by our use of technology, our efficient processes, and then just our industry know-how. Here's some of the kind of the larger patent portfolios I have experience with, a lot of autonomous vehicles and a ton of telecom, some medical device, which isn't reflected on here. And then, when you break it down, don't worry, Mike, I'm almost done. When you break it down, really what helps us like be successful, like what clients are really latching onto tend to be these three things. We do turn around. So these are all specific to the IP side. We do turn around work product pretty fast. I'm not aware of any other firms that offer the same turnaround time that we do. Our single rate at $250 per hour, like I said, that's like unheard of in the IP world. And then, we do track all of our metrics. We do have an above average patent allowance rate. And we also have a below average RCE rate, which probably doesn't mean a lot to you unless you've been through the patent process and have had to pay for an RCE. So yeah, here's, if you're interested in learning more, please feel free to reach out. I pasted my contact info in the chat. You can visit us at velnlegal.com. I'd be happy to answer some questions. And I'm going to stop sharing though, because it cannibalizes my entire screen. And I like to be able to look at you lovely folks.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I think we've all gotten used to this now since we've been in this virtual life for probably around close to 2 years. Let's do a virtual clap. Virtual hand clap. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to start sharing my screen. And Stephen, trust me, I know I have a Mac too. It's a whole different format I have to use. I have to put in certain different corners so I can still see everybody. Hey, let's actually go into Q&A. The time that was spent, we can kind of go within that. So does anyone, first of all, have any questions? And I think I can start off first. Did I cut somebody off?
No, that was me. I was just going to say, I know I went through everything quickly, so please feel free to ask for clarification.
Yeah, the one question I have is what made you decide that the merger was the best option for you and the company?
So I think the easiest way to think about it is that this merger shortened my 5-year plan, well, probably like my 3-year plan down to about 1 year, and then Veln's 5-year plan down to about 1 year. So, because like for me, it was like, all right, well, do I want to join a firm, be underneath like another, like have a boss essentially, going from owning my own firm to having a boss? Like that was like the biggest hurdle for me. But the trade-off to me was, well, I can make a lot faster progress on some of my goals by doing this merger rather than just kind of like, staying the course that I was. And like, for me, like I didn't start my firm as a vanity project. I really started it because I saw some opportunities to develop some unique workflows and rely on technology and provide a little higher efficiency IP work. It's just hard to do that when you're in an established firm. And so I feel like Veln was really like they're the only firm I talked to, I guess. Just having met Will and having, shared kind of the same vision that he had, having a very similar style of running a business. I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to merge with anyone, it's got to be them. And since he was interested, it's just kind of like the path we ended up taking. But yeah, great question.
I love it. That's actually very informational. Anybody else?
Stephen, why is it, I assume that the L and the N are legal network?
Nope. The name is completely made up.
What's Veln?
So the name is completely made up. The trademark term, this is your fun fact of the night, is fanciful. It's a completely made up name. It has no meaning. So the name came around like before I met Will. So like when I met him, Veln was already the name of the firm. But I know he worked with a marketing team that helped him come up with the name and the logo and everything. And I don't know what the criteria were. I don't know what the rejected ones were, but yeah, like I'm at Bamboo in Detroit and I've got like my big Veln sign on the window and people tell me all the time they love the logo and all that. So yeah, it's completely made up.
As someone within marketing, I can truthfully, yes, it's sometimes the cleanest and crisp and something simple is perfect. Hey, Kaku, I see you're unmuting yourself.
Yep, I am. So first off, Stephen, congratulations, man. And, You look super familiar. I know we've connected sometime. I can't put my finger on where and when, but congrats, man. My question for you is, I'm curious of two questions. First up, now with the merger, how big is the firm as far as how many attorneys you guys have? And then I'm also curious on how you're dealing with culture, really, with the merger and such, and how you guys are addressing that.
Yeah, those are excellent questions. So first, I think you presented to 1 million cups. I was, so Doug is our lead community organizer. I might still technically be one, but my schedule's just been wild, so I haven't been around in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's where we connected before. So Veln has 8 lawyers. So I went from a team of 1 to a team of 8, which you're right, could create a big cultural shift, especially for me. But something you may not know about me, maybe you've learned by now, is that I'm kind of a chatty guy, and I really don't mind offering opinions. So I think it's been kind of good. So it's certainly a culture shift for them and me, but I think it's been generally positive because I align so well with their philosophy and how they just run things anyway. But then I do feel like I can offer some different ideas, because running a commercial agreement practice is very different from an IP practice. Like it's very different.
Congrats, and I just want to affirm that $250 an hour rate is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, if you've ever paid for a lawyer before, you're probably like, oh, I wish they'd only charge me $250 an hour.
I'm one of those people.
Yep.
Hey, if anyone else has any questions, please. The amazing thing, it's always good to look at certain things that, just like what Steven said, the give and take. We're virtual. However, the give is you can still ask questions on chat while we're talking. You have a whole different other conversation while we're talking. So please feel free to put in anything in the chat if you do have any questions for Steven. So again, virtual hand clap. Thank you, Steven, again, for the sponsorship. Thank you for the explanation of Veln. And I definitely see the correlation within the two. Now, our next speaker. Now, okay, am I saying your name right? Kaku Ose?
Kaku Ose.
Kaku Ose.
You got it.
Yes. I learned something new. I love it. Hey, this is the founder of Farmacy Food. Again, another great logo. I'm the marketing, so of course I'm going to notice these things. But a little bit about Farmacy Food, everybody. It's a tech-enabled healthy food startup that takes the let food be thy medicine literally. And it allows tasty meals around people's dietary needs, which I'm very, very curious about. I'm all into holistic health, holistic things. And I just definitely believe that, hey, we didn't always have pharmaceutical medicine. So clearly we were still able to heal in certain different ways. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Your time is 7:33. You have 10 minutes. So I will be giving you a chatterbug at 7:42. So do you need to, you're going to be sharing your screen?
I think, so I did have some slides, but I think I might just want to just have a conversation, if that's cool.
Perfect. That's completely all right. Hey, take the floor.
Thank you.
You want me to stop sharing my screen so we can all see each other?
That works. Whatever works best for y'all. But first off, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for everyone that's here. It's nice to see you again, Steven. And Doug, I think you were. So I think I'm going to equally break the rules, but I'm not going to be as long-winded as last time, if you remember that. But in any event, as Micah has shared, Farmacy Food, we're really about bringing functional foods and food as medicine to the forefront. So at the moment, we'll take folks' dietary information, but in the near future, we're actively working towards being in a situation where we can take folks' actual health information if they so choose to provide it, and we'll use that information to create delicious meals to support folks' health and well-being. At the end of the day, it's interesting because we are a food-based business, but I actually really more so look at us as a health and wellness company. And if you think about most food-based businesses, they're typically transactional in nature. So they look at customers or you as individuals as people that need to eat an average of 3.5 times a day. And then they try to maximize how many times you eat with them. And we are really seeking to be relational. We really want to look at our much bigger ambition is to go on a holistic health journey with our customers. And we're actually just using food as an entry point because we believe a meal, a good tasting, healthy, affordable meal is kind of a low barrier, affordable kind of beachhead, if you would, or entry point to beginning that relationship. And so I'll share a couple of things about our overarching strategy, and then I'll shut up and just open up for questions. And it's nice to see Armando. Yeah, what we do now, I will say that a lot of what we intended to do got shifted due to COVID. And with the way we've shifted, I'm actually more excited about the direction we're on now than what we would have done previously. And what we were getting ready to do was to set up a traditional kind of brick and mortar restaurant. And that would have happened summer of 2020. And in any event, with COVID locking things down and restaurants kind of taking a deep dive, we came up with a new strategy, I think, that is actually much more innovative. And that what we do now is we take control over underutilized commercial kitchen spaces. And then we essentially prepare our meals in bulk. We quick chill them, have them refrigerated, and then we get creative about how we distribute these meals. And so one of those ways is through a typical carry-out, takeout situation. You can go online and order our meals. We do deliver within a really small radius at the moment. And then we have these things called smart fridges, which we're deploying in apartment buildings, college campuses. We're getting ready to prepare to start putting these in different office spaces as folks start to come back to work and have kind of hybrid arrangements. If you think about that for a second, a lot of larger corporations kind of set up, in-house cafeterias. And now with COVID, in kind of the hybrid kind of setup as folks return to work, those cafeterias are no longer financially sustainable. So these smart fridges actually become a really good solution for the time being and actually just become a way of much more convenience, period. And these are essentially a more sophisticated vending machine, if you will. So you go up to one of these fridges, you swipe your card, it gives you access to open the fridge. And then each item, there's a smart RFID tag that basically would charge you accordingly based on what you remove from the fridge and such. And so anyway, we're doing that. All of the stuff that we're doing physically is really just kind of an on-ramp to get folks towards our meal subscription program, which is where we really want to be playing. That's where folks will get a minimum of 5 meals a week delivered to a place of their preference. And essentially, the way I thought about this is that if you think about most subscription programs that exist, you can think of like Clean Plates, Sprintly, et cetera. All of them are typically online only and only have digital footprints. And for me, it was really difficult to think that I would, want to subscribe to any place without having tried their food and knowing that I was comfortable with it. So we wanted to create a low-cost way of basically having locations where folks can come try our food. And once they realize how good it is, basically convert them to our meal subscription program by making the meals cheaper and more convenient by, again, delivering to their place of preference. Outside of the food piece, going back to that holistic health journey piece, one of the things I'm really excited about is while we're building out our food-based business, the other thing we're doing is we're building out an ecosystem of all the other preventative health interventions that exist. So some of this got disrupted due to COVID, but we're beginning to restart these conversations now. We've begun talking to gym owners, yoga studios, massage therapists, life coaches, therapists, et cetera. And we've gotten open to the idea of offering our customers an initial sizable discount for facilitating connections to them. And long story short, as we learn more about our customers, their motivations, goals, as well as their challenges and barriers, our intention is to be in a position to put things in front of them, such as these other preventative health interventions that should support them to level up in their lives. And I'm really excited because, as we build this thing out, not that everyone's going to take advantage of everything that we put in front of them, but to the extent that they do, and get a benefit from it, I think it's going to allow us as a company to enjoy a level of loyalty that few companies enjoy. And bigger than that is, I think, the real deal opportunity to, they're still gonna, I think supporting a large population of people not having to rely on our very broken hospital and healthcare system. There'll still be people that have unfortunate incidents, and there'll still be genetic predispositions that will lead to things, but the overwhelming amount of data that exists out in the world suggests that if people eat well, have a nutritionally rich kind of in a wide, diverse array of meals that they're eating, and do a bit of exercise, for the majority of people, that's going to keep you out of the hospital. And so, yeah, I'm super duper excited to be doing this. We just opened our second location out in Plymouth this week. And so we are expanding. And we got some really other exciting things that's going on, but I can go on and on and on. I know my time is running short. And so I'll close with just kind of saying that our mission is to make health and wellness radically affordable and accessible. And we're doing this again most directly with our nutritionally rich meals. I think based on our overhead light strategy, it enables us, because I don't know if I mentioned this, but again, we take over commercial kitchen spaces, and we do this in low rent or no rent situations. And this basically enables us to be able to source ingredients from our local farmers, as well as to get some of the more esoteric ingredients that maybe you haven't seen, that aren't typically common because they're typically on the higher end as far as costs go. But we, based on our overhead light strategy, are able to kind of bring together these nutritionally rich ingredients and craft a beautiful meal that supports folks' health and well-being. And my partners in this is Chef Phil Jones, who was very fortunately awarded Chef of the Year by the Detroit Free Press. His food is amazing. And then our other partner is Michelle Story Stewart, who's our CFO. And she was previously the CFO of the Detroit Land Bank Authority and Walker Mill Energy Services thereafter. So anyway, we're in the beginning of this thing, but as we continue to, especially after we shifted due to the pandemic, and we've kind of now started to get kind of a firmer foundation, things are starting to get really exciting, and I'm really excited to be with you all.
Everybody, let's give a virtual hand clap, We love it. We love it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple of questions. Before any speak, I'm going to get back to sharing the screen, and we're going to go to the Q&A part. Before anything, Kaku, I think while you were speaking, I've said this to anybody who has dealt with anything dealing with food, anything dealing with health of food. I've always wanted someone to do this. And when I saw your name, I'm like, man, maybe he can be the one. I don't know. Someone's going to do it. But it's this thing of, I've recognized that when not only I'm in pain, or before I get in pain, or when I notice certain things are happening, I've always wanted to know what's the food that helps this. My parents always told me, broccoli is good. It makes you strong. But what does broccoli actually do? Like, what part does it actually help? And I just wish there was an app. I wish there was an app where you can just describe a certain pain, or just put or describe a certain area where it's like, man, I want to get stronger in this, or I want this to be, and it recommends certain foods that particularly go to that area of your body, because that is what foods do. It's almost like our body is a computer system, and whatever we input into it, it goes to certain areas, and it either helps out those certain areas, or it just goes through our waste and everything, and then it goes out. While it tries to take whatever from that food and put it wherever in our body where it thinks it needs. A lot of it's just fat, and it just stores in the stomach area like mine. But what you're doing is, first of all, amazing. And I hope maybe if you could, I know that's what people like me and others that I talk to really are curious. I know my mom's she has 3 knee surgeries. I know 3 with only 2 legs. And what's crazy is her legs get certain times, certain ache or certain things like that. And I found out watercress in her smoothies, which is a certain type of vegetable, actually helps directly for your legs and joints and areas. And I'm like, that's great. I want to know more about what foods help different areas of your body. So that's a request on a random
No,
bystander.
that was beautifully put, and I appreciate that. I should share that this kind of concept came to me. So previous to Farmacy Food, I started another startup called Cooperative Capital, which still exists, and that was a journey of a few very big highs and many lows. And it was during one of the big lows, we just got past a regulatory battle, and I was relieved but depressed. And I knew why I was depressed, but the major stressor was behind me. And I was trying to get back to my excitable, let's go change the world self. And I was just depleted. And so I was literally sitting at my desk one day, just wishing I could take some things off the table for a while. I was feeling that way. And I knew that my nutrition and diet wasn't good. And so I'm thinking to myself, man, if there was a place that existed that would take my health information and use that to create meals that were optimal for me, I would sign up immediately. I would give them whatever information they requested. And that's where it started from. It was really just trying to like get better, or at least to know that it wasn't what I was inputting to my body. Because I think you said it perfectly. In a lot of ways, what we input has a direct impact on how we feel and how we go about doing our thing, how we function. So in any event, yeah, I'm with you, and we are actively working towards that end. Where we will be able to provide folks pointed information. We would love to be able to, in some ways, be educational. Not that, because as much as we want people to come and be customers of us, we also realize that there are certain barriers. And one thing I should say is that, per those barriers, one of the things we do to try to make this that much more accessible for folks that have historically been left out of this equation is for all low-income residents, college students, educators, senior citizens, and veterans, we provide them a 40% discount on our meals. So that's one small thing that we're doing towards the end of just trying to make sure that this is truly, radically affordable and accessible for all. But man, for those that can't even afford that, we realize that, there's some really good things we could do from an education standpoint and setting folks up to get the right type of stuff and make sure that the things they're getting is things that are going to help them with some of the issues they may be facing.
I love it. Hey, it seems like we have a couple questions already lined up. I saw Shatton, I believe that's her name. I want to give you an opportunity to speak. You have a nice, politely raised virtual hand.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Or Shay, my name's, I actually had a question about where do you get your food from? I work with Detroit with the urban farming and composting, and I just wanted to know, do you get your food sources from local farms, or like, where do you obtain your food source from?
Yeah, beautiful question. I'd love to connect with you. So we, at the moment, we have great relationships with Oakland Avenue Urban Farm, Planted Detroit, which is one of the hydroponic, aquaponic type setups. And then we do some stuff with Maliki Kinney and the Detroit Black Food Security Network. What we have found though, and we're very fortunate, I think this year, going to be able to do this where with the sources that we have hyper local, like city Detroit, because when we say local, we get about 80% of our ingredients within a 25-mile radius, but then the rest within a 150-mile radius. And very fortunately, as you guys may be well aware, Michigan is only behind California as far as the diversity of things that we grow. So we do that well. And we have a wide variety of things that we can get. But yeah, to answer your question, we tapped out on our local sources for things that we can get, and that's what had us have to go wider outside of the city of Detroit. And as much as we could source locally and more hyper locally, really, the more we want to do. In the near future, literally within the next 2 months, we are very likely to be in a position where we'll be able to contract with local urban farms upfront and actually pay upfront for produce that should be grown next year and such. So we're really excited about that next step in our journey and what that's going to do to be able to empower some of the great efforts and work that's been done locally within the city of Detroit around urban farms. And yeah, I'd be happy to connect.
Hey, we have 2 minutes, and Armando has given us some good questions in the chat. Hey, Armando, did you want to unmute? Ask someone? Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. So Kaku, love it. I'm here for it.
Thank you.
Love everything about it. Have you ever thought about like maybe potential partnerships with like Meijer, since they source their food locally? So maybe any of the food that you know, they might throw away, or you know, using foods that are classified as B or C. So, you know, these like oddly shaped fruits and vegetables that may not make it through the market.
Man, beautiful question. So, and funnily enough, our chef, Phil Jones, is also a co-founder of Make Food Not Waste, which you may be aware of. This is a nonprofit that was started several years back, and it's all about making sure that we make food and we don't waste it. And so we do a lot of food recovery and upcycling of food. And there's a lot of articles you can read about the work that we've done towards that end. Typically, because of that work, we get a lot of local farms to donate excess or stuff that is going to otherwise be thrown away or effectively not used. And we'll typically make meals of that and give it to homeless senior citizens. Those have been the two major groups that we've typically targeted, but we also then connect with certain local community development organizations such as Hope Village, for instance, and they'll then distribute it to folks amongst their community. And so, yeah, haven't talked with Meijer just yet, but that is probably something. I mean, yeah, that's probably something we will end up attempting to do. So yeah, I appreciate that. And then to your other question here, we are not tracking that stuff in any way that would be useful to anyone. We're doing it on our end in the near future. So we were developing a mobile application, and we still intend to do that. But the first version of our mobile application was intentionally meant to be stupid simple, and it was so stupid simple that there wasn't enough utility for the end user to warrant having a mobile application out there in the world. So we realized that there were lower tech ways to basically still collect the information that we were seeking. And so we're doing that for the time being, and we will look to have a mobile application down the line that will kind of, as we really go upstream, there's a lot of really exciting things that we're trying to do from a healthcare perspective, as well as really in a lot of ways, potentially getting healthcare insurers to subsidize customers becoming customers, as we're able to prove efficacy not only of our meals on a person's health and well-being, but also the connected preventative health ecosystem that we're creating. And so anyway, we're all that's en route. It's a lot of work, but we're en route.
Hey, I love it. Hey, another virtual hand. Hey, you have a question, Kaku, in the chat by Danny Butler, so you can give us all the juicy details on your favorite dish in the chat. I do want to be fair and give our next and last speaker fair game for his 10 minutes. And correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Armando Ortega?
Yes. Close enough.
Close enough. I'll take it. I'll take it. He is going to be presenting. He is a founder of ToDoolie, and it's the easiest way to hire young people from your community for help with unskilled outdoor tasks. And it has the most flexible job option for young people looking for formative work experience and professional development. Very curious on what you have to present. So it is 7:54. I will give you 10 minutes. So you will have until 8:04. Hey, do you have a slide that you want to present, or do you need?
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Perfect.
Let me stop. And the floor is yours.
Cool. Awesome. Before I begin, I want to say hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Sorry I'm late. Such as the nature of starting a startup, was putting out fires, as always. So with that, I'll go ahead and I will share my screen. There we go. Can everyone see this? Awesome. I'm getting some thumbs up here. All righty. And boop. Oh, I'm gonna click. Hey, everyone. My name is Armando Ortega, as I've just been introduced. I'm a college-educated, first-generation Mexican-American veteran tech entrepreneur. Try saying that 3 times fast. My entrepreneurship has been super wild, to be honest. I never really expected my road to look a little something like this. So these are a bunch of brands. I've actually had over 30 jobs before turning 30 years old. I'm 29 in this January. Yes, I remember my birthday. My mom says that I can't hold a job, but I keep telling her that the job could never hold me. My journey started when I was 15. I started doing personal and commercial tax returns, researching Michigan laws to get people out of jail, and babysitting all at the same time from the guy who hired me at $7.50. This was about 10 years ago, so kind of gives you an idea of where I started. I couldn't really put that on my resume or LinkedIn, but it was the start of my hustling journey. So I'm going to fast forward through a lot of my work experience here over to 2012. A 19-year-old me joins the Army without even knowing what the infantry was. So I have no idea how the recruiter slipped that one past me, but it's okay. I ended up serving for 8 years. It was great. I did a lot of what people consider cool guy shit, like what only I can describe as a grenade launcher. I've shot M4s, known as ARs, sniper rifles. I've flown around the world. I've carried machine guns for miles on end. Here you can see a picture of a bald version of me and a not so bald version of me. So luckily I was able to keep my hair afterwards. So happy about that. After realizing that my knees started to hurt really bad, I did what any sane person would do in their mid-20s. I co-founded a tech startup. And it's an online marketplace. It connects people with work who need work around the house with people, with young people who are looking for work around their neighborhood. So we do things like moving, garage cleanups, pulling weeds. So where does that leave me now in my journey? Well, today we've raised $1.5 million. So woo for that. Yeah. We're on track to be launching in Houston and Atlanta. We're retreating to Atlanta tomorrow, which is what I'm really excited about. One of the fires I was trying to put out. And honestly, it hasn't been all fun and games though. Running a startup never is. I took a couple of pictures off this thing called the internet, and it's the only way that I could best describe what my journey has been like. So I hope you're laughing because it's true. If some of you have entrepreneurship journeys like I do, and not at my misery, the second picture really does resonate with me, where everything is just on fire. I'm constantly having challenges, like in the beginning when I couldn't even pay myself a livable wage. We were constantly doing jobs to build the market in Metro Detroit. On top of that, we were first-time founders for literally everything in every capacity that you could think of. And then just trying to address the seasonality of our business, you can imagine that that's pretty hard. So how did we get here? How did we go from, being first-time founders to a $1.5 million seed round? We literally just started by doing, and I literally mean that quite literally. We started the company with a Google Voice number and Google Forms. So the company actually started back in 2018 with no money, no code, no experience. We went out and we just started collecting feedback from customers and started taking orders. So we would constantly have people, we would constantly be texting helpers. Hey, there's these jobs in these areas that you could take. And the Google Voice number would ring all three of the founders. So I would often, 9 times out of 10, I would be on a job answering customer support calls while raking someone's leaves. So that was kind of funny when I think back on it. So thinking about the dog on fire really starts to come together there. Eventually, we had way too much demand and we were constantly answering the phones. We were constantly messaging helpers, so much so that that was all that we were doing. So we were exhausted by the end of that, and we had to come up with a new solution. So what do? We build a shitty web app. And this thing would constantly break, and it would have the wrong time on there. So it was amazing because we were able to allow our helpers accept the jobs on their flexible schedule. So we minimized the texting that we went through. Eventually, we built our version 2 of our helper app, which was really great. We hired some developers, but we were running into some unforeseen problems. We were running out of money, and we were going to shut down the business in December. So this was 2020. So we're fast forwarding a couple years now. We placed all of our bets getting into Techstars, which is an accelerator program, and we asked our employees not to pay them for 2 months. Pretty reasonable, right? Well, it actually worked out in our favor, and we got accepted into Techstars, and that was really great. We learned a lot. We got some investment. We were able to pay our employees, and we got through that. But as many of you probably could imagine, something unexpected also happened. And yeah, COVID hit. Who would have thought? We went straight to zero revenue. We had no money, no activity for the first 3-4 months. So what does a mid to late 20-year-old with gray hair do in this situation? Well, what any reasonable person does, we pivot. And we didn't just pivot, we kept pivoting until we pivoted back to ToDoolie. So some of the things that we tried doing was selling bread. So we tried using our existing code to do this sort of no-touch contactless delivery bread service. And that went pretty well. We were able to get some money, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was around the time where everybody was buying toilet paper and flour, and yeah, that went well. And we also tried doing a socially distanced schooling, pod schooling. So it would be, so everybody was studying back home. We try to connect young people with other young people to form study groups, but still kind of be socially distanced. Again, leveraging our existing code. And eventually our investor came up to us and he had enough, we had enough, and we just decided to work on our code and our product. Luckily, that went really well, and we built 2 progressive web apps. They're on iOS and Android, and it's also on our website, so you can definitely check us out. Yeah, we focused all of our time building the client app and the helper app. Now our code actually does solve our problems with very few little bugs. There's still some bugs, but they're features if anybody else asks. And that's it. That's where my journey has taken me. My ask is that we're actually trying to hire a VP of engineering. So if you know of anyone who has engineering experience, particularly web apps and startup experience, please send them my way. And with that, I'll open up for question and answer.
And we're going to give you, before that, a virtual hand clap.
Thank you.
Because it's what any average person would do.
Yeah.
Of course. Give me just a second while I reshare the screen. Perfect. We're at Q&A. First, the privilege about being the program coordinator is you can ask the question first. But my question to you is, throughout every single fire that you had, and coming even back to ToDoolie, how did you maintain a good culture to where people still wanted to stay with what you were doing?
Very good question. Oh man, it wasn't easy. So what I had to learn early on was that the culture doesn't come just from the founders. The culture comes from everybody in the company. And that was a really tough lesson to learn because, you kind of have to let go. The other part of that equation is we had to be completely and radically transparent with everyone on the team. So we were constantly telling them, this is how much money we have. And we had a lot of those moments, if you will, where it went, we may not be here next month or, 2 months from now, just so you know. And everyone was like, okay, such is the nature of startup. And then we would somehow make it out of that, and then it would just cycle over and over again. But I think just having clear expectation and complete trust. Unfortunately, we did have to let go of our team towards the end of 2021. So a lot of the people who you saw on that slide are not there, but what we did was we gave them a month of severance. We continued their benefits. We placed them at other companies just to make sure that they were good before we took care of ourselves. So we were very in the school of thought of taking care of everyone who comes into ToDoolie, and anyone who cares to move this mission and vision forward is family. And we will go to the end of the earth to make sure that they're taken care of.
I love that answer. I love that, because you have to be kind of transparent. I think this, it's funny. I think COVID, definitely kept us a little bit farther apart, but more transparent. It's funny how much you can see through the screen, right? Anybody else who has the next question?
That's amazing. I've known Sergio for a while, but I never knew all of them. That's the crazy thing is you could be out here doing things, and in entrepreneurship, you kind of got to try to put on this best face, despite everything that's going on. So I'm just curious, when you guys were in pivot hell, quote unquote, what do you feel like? What were the conversations you and the co-founders having, and what did it look like? Because I don't want to assume anything, but I'm sure there were moments where you all were, like, hey man, maybe it's time to like stop this thing. How did you guys reinforce each other? And what would you say are things that you guys did to kind of prop each other up or keep each other motivated during that time period? Yeah,
that's a really good question. So COVID hit, and we immediately decided to be remote first. It's about like a week before it hit national news. So we were in Chicago during the accelerator, and that conversation was really weird. We kind of looked at each other and we were like, oh my God, like emoji face. And we were like, we don't know how to handle this. We had talked to a lot of entrepreneurs in the ecosystem who had gone through the 2008 crisis and how they handled that. While it wasn't exactly the same, a lot of the school of thoughts that you could take away do apply. And what that conversation looked like was, we aren't making money and we need to make money. And we have no idea how long the pandemic is going to last. This could be a couple months. This could be a year. This could be years. And so what we did individually was we researched a lot of pandemic facts, like how it takes 5 to 7 years to actually come out the other end of a pandemic. And we looked at other pandemics like Zika, Ebola, swine flu, and how other organizations had handled something of that capacity. And ultimately we said, well, we need to make money and we need to do it fast because we're a startup. That's the advantage that we have. We're quick and nimble with decision making. So not even, I think a week later, we were transforming our existing platform into delivering bread, because that's what Sergio's mom used to do to make money in Chile. And that worked out really well. And we saw that flour was flying off the shelves along with toilet paper, which was really weird, but that's for another story. And so we did that. And then the conversation said, we've only made $2,000 versus the 10K that we were making month over month. What are we going to do? So it was around when everybody was going back to school, very uncertain. We weren't sure what was going to happen. We knew that we were still working with people who needed jobs, needed work, right? And so we said, well, why don't we, instead of focusing on the client side, trying to make money, why don't we focus more on the helper side of things, the young professionals? And so that conversation brought about schooling pods, because that was one of the things that people were thinking about. And we started interviewing a lot of our kids' parents and trying to figure out those pain points. And we found out that, go figure, when I have a 9-to-5, and if I'm a single parent, or even if I am a dual income earner, I need my kid to go to school because I can't deal with them right now because I'm trying to make money. Hence schooling pods seem to be a pretty plausible idea there. And then our investor came in and said, what are you guys doing? Like, no, none of this is working. And we were hacking away at something for about 5 months. And so we said, yeah, you're probably right. Enough is enough. And we got into a war room and just kind of collectively made that decision. We said, we don't know if we're going to go through. We only have X amount of money. At the very least, if we can push the product forward, you could anticipate scalability with code. And all you have to do is just put a bunch of process to it. So we just voted our hands up and said collectively, okay, we're going to push the product forward as quickly as we can, build a client app, build the helper app, and hopefully it gets us to our next milestones. And so it did.
I think that part is super powerful. I'm going to make one more question as well. And again, anyone who has questions, please put in the chat or anything if you have, so I can ask if you would like me to ask for you. But now I'm going to ask on the practicality side of ToDoolie. Is it like a Grubhub, DoorDash, landscape? Like what are the limitations you have right now? Because I'm guessing ToDoolie is going to have probably a limitless, type of array of things that you can do. But what are the limitations of what somebody if I wanted something to be done, if I go to ToDoolie, what will I find? What are my options?
Yeah, absolutely. So funny enough, everybody internally in the company does customer support at least once a week. So I have this down packed. This is literally what I tell all of our clients. Hi, welcome to ToDoolie. How can I help you? My name's Armando. Hey, I need a job done. What can you do? Very good question. So we can help with things like raking leaves, pulling weeds, organizing your garage, hauling things to the curb. We're not a professional company by any means. So if you're looking for anything that's more in the realm of professional landscape, professional moving, we definitely cannot help you with that. But if you need an extra helping hand, you could think of us as the kid next door who you just hired. We can definitely help with that. We hire young professionals who need work on a flexible schedule, oftentimes college students, and they're locally sourced around your area. We charge $25 per hour per helper with a $5 booking fee and a 2-hour minimum. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess the one question is what if, because right when you said moving stuff in my garage, what if you break something of mine?
Oh, very good. We do have a limited liability policy. So if anything does break, it will have to go through your homeowner's insurance first, and then it goes through us. But we always try to repair or at least replace anything that's broken on the job. And we do that as a courtesy.
I now leave the floor to anyone else. Good.
No heavy machinery and no tools. We don't supply any of that. That might have been the next question.
Does anyone else have another question?
It doesn't have to be about the business. It can be about anything.
I just have a comment. Armando, I think I remember, this is definitely pre-pandemic, seeing you or somebody from ToDoolie presenting, I think it was in downtown Detroit, maybe at
WeWork?
Sorry? Yeah,
WeWork?
Right. At WeWork or at Bamboo. And I recall then being struck by that the concept was really great. And I could definitely see its application, particularly as our population ages, as baby boomers are and continue to reach years where they definitely don't want to be doing all those sorts of odd jobs around the house, that would be really a powerful platform. And I remember being impressed at the time that it was a really great idea. So still sounds like it. I'm glad you pivoted back to that great idea.
Yeah, so did I. I don't think I could be the bread man forever.
Right.
I love it. Hey, can we all give a virtual hand? So now I am going to go to any questions and comments that for the community updates for DNU Tech. First of all, within this, I want you all to know that these people, like how you're listening to them right now, they're very tangible. So please, if you would like, get their information. These are people who I love listening to. Matter of fact, all three of these people got a personal LinkedIn request from me before this even started. So if you find them on LinkedIn, please don't be afraid. I always want to make that accessible for everybody, because I believe some of us, we like what we hear, but we don't necessarily act on what we hear all the time. So if you do have any questions and comments, let me know now. You can cut me off. I actually do a 5-second Jeopardy thing.
So I'm just gonna jump in.
Perfect. 4 seconds.
In audio, right? Yeah. And could I have questions and comments for 500, please, Micah?
Of course.
So I would just say to everybody, I remember Kaku presenting at 1 million. I'm sorry, I mispronounced it as well. Sorry. All right, thank you. 1 million cups. Armando, I don't remember whether you did. I don't believe you have, but at some point, I encourage you to share your startup story. That's a great story, but you can only do 6 minutes of it at 1 million cups. It's a terrific forum like this one, except it's at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays, once a month. So our next meeting is it's always the second Wednesday of the month. So go to 1millioncups.com, look for Metro Detroit, because that's our chapter. We're the only 1 Million Cups chapter in Southeast Michigan, although there's about 160 of them around the country. But please come in and share your startup story, or come to the a meeting which we hold virtually on that second Wednesday, and give your now I'm talking specifically to you, Armando. You've had so many jobs in so many different areas. I think your feedback to other founders would be really valuable. But I encourage anyone and everyone to come for one of our meetings, or frankly, you could go to a meeting at one of the 159 some odd other chapters around the country. That's it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. And within those closing remarks, everybody, please, please, please enjoy your Michigan season, because it is getting cold. But thank you all for participating. Thank you all for showing up. Hopefully you did enjoy. Everyone, again, connect, make those connections. Everyone who presented, including our sponsor. Again, thank you all for presenting. The only thing I have left to say is that's all, folks. So we ended 12 minutes early. Get some good shut-eye for you hardworking entrepreneurs, business people, and you have a great rest of your night. Oh, and if you want to share this with anybody, this was live on our YouTube. So this is going to stay on Accelerate Kids, one of the other sponsors, YouTube. So all you have to do is just look up this name on YouTube. I put it in the chat and you should find this video. So if you couldn't think of that last person who spoke for DNT, you can go there. We have all of our videos up. But again, that's all, folks. Have a great rest of your night.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Good job. Good night.
Good night. Trying to see who stays back.